Use a metal brush to clean the old built-up pepper from the grinding surfaces, and there's still some pepper in here. Today's video is how to restore an old pepper grinder. This pepper grinder is unusually large. It's about 21 inches long, and it's from an old Italian restaurant. So it has been sitting around a long time, but it's fully operational. It's made in Italy. Today's video is going to show you how you can restore an old pepper grinder like this yourself at home. So the first thing to do when you get the pepper grinder is to look it over for any defects. You can see it needs some repainting and touch-up to make it look nice again. There's some missing paint in the red, the white. So with a little touch-up and clear coating, this pepper grinder will live another life. So the first thing you need to do is to take it apart. And you want to take the whole thing apart for easier cleaning, so you take the adjustment screw out. There's a little adjustment here to regulate how far the grinder goes, since we want to take the whole thing apart for cleaning. Here, take this whole screw out. Long threaded shaft here for the screw. So you want to see if there's any debris inside. The crush can is for scale of size reference. And you can see, examine the parts to make sure the grinding surfaces are nice and clean. Use a piece of sandpaper to clean off any rust. Now when you're using this for food, you can see there's these bent up surfaces here, so you want to make this as smooth as possible. So I'm going to take this metal part off. So use a pair of fine wire cutters to pull the little nails out. The head of the nail and pull the nails out. And use the sandpaper to clean the surfaces. You want to clean it up real good before you prepare it for painting, to touch up. So when you're using it in the kitchen, the metal takes the abuse instead of denting up the wood. Every maker should have a good block of steel to work with. And take a hammer and flatten out the wavy parts of the metal. You see there's a ridge here, so you don't want to flatten out the original ridge. You want to keep the ridge in place, but flatten out the parts where it got bent over the years. So now you want to fit the bottom plate nicely onto the pepper grinder. But you don't want any gaps in there because it'll hold dirt. So you want to take your hammer, and since this is brass, it's very malleable, so you want to tap it just enough to eliminate the gap between the base and the wood. The screw holes, and you can see the gap is pretty much gone once the screws are put in here instead of the old nails. It'll look much better. Now it's on to touching up the paint. So you want to inspect it, make sure you have all where you're going to touch up the paint. So you'll need 3 colors. You'll need some gold, white, and red. So for the gold touch-up, I'm going to use this gold leafing paint. So it works very well. It'll give a nice finish to the gold. And paint markers for the red and white. So take a damp rag and wipe it down. If it's all greasy from being in the kitchen, you might want to use some ammonia and water to remove the grease. So wipe it down nicely so you get all the grease and dirt off. So as you'll see, as you clean it, it's brightening up the paint. So you want to get a good cleaning, so when you touch it up, it'll look much better. Don't forget the top of the pepper grinder. Just a reminder that the music you hear is public domain. There should be no trouble with music in this video. It's all public domain. No commercial copyrighted music is used. So make sure you get all the parts of the pepper cleaner good and clean. And the nut for the pepper grinder. Take a metal brush and clean the fitting, the adjustment nut for the pepper grinder. Use a metal brush and clean it up real good. You don't want to lose the original patina. The customer wants the original patina intact, so I'm not going to polish it up to like new condition. This is an old Italian restaurant. They don't want it to look brand new. They want to make it look old, like it has been for the last 60, 70 years. They say they've been in business. So you want to keep the original patina and not completely clean it like it's brand new. You want to make it like it's old, because it is old. This pepper grinder's clean the base. Again, it's to keep the original patina. You want to make it look clean, but not brand new. So now it's time to touch it up. So before you touch up the pepper grinder, you want to clean your work area so you have a nice clean area when you're looking at the paint. So I'm going to touch up the white areas first. So take your paint marker, make sure the paint is flowing, and carefully apply the paint. You want to overdo it. This is more keeping it like the original, so I'm not going to paint it like it's brand new. Make sure your paint is flowing nicely in your paint marker. You wipe it so you want it looking like store-bought. No, they want it to look old and original. Now to touch up the red, make sure your paint marker is working. Remember, you don't want to make it look like brand new. You want to keep the old original look. And of course the handle gets the most wear, so that needs touch up too. Keep the paint flowing because this is enamel paint for modeling, so it dries very fast, so you want to work fast. The brass covering will pretty much hide this bottom edge, so you could fan the paint out to It's also a good idea when you're painting something, if you have anything else around your house you want to touch up if you have the paint open at the time, you could touch other things up around your home. You can see where the paint is degraded over the years, so get a nice cover coat, feather it off so you hide your new covering. This is gold metallic paint. The other parts look okay. So set that aside to dry. There's some parts on the handle that could use some touch up. Now we're ready for painting, but before you paint you have to be able to put the pieces somewhere, so you want to prepare the pieces so they'll be out of the way. You could put them aside and you not have your work sitting on your work table. So get some little piece of electric wire, use a pair of needle nose pliers to get it in there, so you don't want the wire falling down when you're painting. You want to be able to make a hook, so when the enamel is drying, you could hang it up somewhere for it to dry. And this has a nice thing, so you make like a little hook and feed the hook down in there, and you have a convenient hanging, so it'll hang to dry when you have this tail on here, so you could wrap it around if it's too heavy, so it'll hold in while the paint is drying. Next thing you need is a turntable for easier painting. Make sure you use the spray paint in a well-ventilated room so the fumes don't build up and kill you or blow up your house if they're flammable. You don't want to put too much paint on here, just enough to cover it up. And now that it's ready to be moved, you take your hook and you put your hook in here and you put it aside to dry. And you do the same with the hand top piece. You don't want to put too much on where it runs, you just want enough on there to seal the paint. And you want to, don't forget the bottom. And the little adjustment nut, you don't want to forget that, that's going to be exposed as well. Now that the paint and clear coat has dried, it's time to put the pepper grinder back together again. Now, I don't want to use the old nails again, so I want to use little screws to make the more removable. So I'm going to use these little tiny screws to hold the brass base to the pepper grinder. But the only thing is, these are countersunk screws, so to help countersink the holes, I'm going to take a large drill bit and kind of make a countersink hole. So you see that the old nail holes are now countersunk to receive the screws, and that the screws fit nice and flush into the hole instead of the nails. So if anyone else ever wants to repair or work on this thing again, the screws will come out. And the screws are more clean and reliable to take on and off than the nails were, and you can see how nice and flat they are by countersinking the holes with an ordinary drill bit. Of course, you don't drill all the way through the metal, you just drill enough to make a small countersink to hold the screws in place. And this pepper grinder had a little adjustment nut that goes on. So while holding, of course it's an unusually big pepper grinder, so you want to adjust the nut so the grinder doesn't fall out. Otherwise all the peppercorns will fall out, so you want to adjust it so depending on how fine or coarse you want the pepper to be, you want the spacing of the grinder to let only the grind of pepper come out. Fine, of course, coarser grind pepper you let more space, and a finer grind of pepper you put less. So this should be allow for a good medium grind of pepper. Put the top nut back on. And now the pepper grinder is good to go. Good for another 50 years or however old this thing is. If you've seen one of these, let me know in the comments. Have you used one of these? Have you seen one before? Maybe you went to the restaurant where this one was from. Let me know in the comments. Looks much better now than it did before. And here's a real Italian pepper grinder. It's even made in Italy. Thanks for coming. I'll come again for another Robot VARNAC video. You never know what you'll see, and every week is different, so every week you'll always be something different. Never expect the same thing here. If you like what you see, like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Goodbye for now.